Good evening, guys. My name is Rajkiran, and I am super excited to be here. On behalf of School of AI Trivandrum, we welcome you to Day 6 of Python Study Group. Before we get into today's session, let us have an overview of Week 3, Part 1. We have looked at selection statements, that is, if, nested if, else if, and etc. Then we have also looked at the looping statements, that is, while loop, for loop, and nested loop. Before we start, I just want to really apologize for what have happened during the last week. One was a technical issue, and we are so sorry for that. And the last class, we had gone to Talisheri. Our team was in Talisheri for conducting a hackathon. So that's why we couldn't organize the class. So apart from that, today we will have a quiz competition where you can win goodies. Hope you are all excited as me. So let's have a quiz. I request all of you to open up this URL, that is https:/kahoot.it. Open up this URL. You can do sideways, like open a URL like this. Hold on a second. Okay, you have to type https://kahoot.it. Okay, now you will have a screen like this. There will be 10 questions. Each question will have 30 seconds duration. So you have to complete each question within 30 seconds. So hope you get the rule. There will be 10 questions. Each question will have 30 seconds duration. It is multiple choice question. All you have to do is select the right answer. So let's play the game. It's loading up. Please use your real name. Don't give any nicknames. Only if you provide your real name, we will be giving you the prize. So please make sure that you provide the real name. Okay. Okay. This is the pin. You have to enter this pin here. Okay. 811527. You have to enter this pin. Once again, you have to go to this URL, that is https:/kahoot.it, and enter this pin, that is 811527. Okay, I can see 4 players: Aravind, Adul, Aju, Rahul, Adul. I will only wait for like 2 minutes. So please, all of you have do this registration fast. Once the game has started, you cannot join. Okay, 12 players have already registered. 13. Please register fast, guys. If you are having any trouble, please do mention in the comment or the chat. If you are having any trouble, please use the chat. We have 15 players ready. Okay, Rahul SR, Ashwin CP, Adarsh, Srinya SI, Abdul Achu Swadi. 17 players is ready. Okay, so I will say the rules once more. There will be 10 questions. Each question will have a duration of 30 seconds. Every question is a multiple choice question. The first one to answer will get an extra point. So make sure that you answer the question faster. At the end of the game, only the first position winner will get the goodie. Don't worry, you will have a chance to overtake players. All you need to do is answer fast and answer right. Okay, I will count up to 20 and then I will start the game. So if there is anyone still trying, please do that fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, guys, now there is 18 players and I am about to start the game. Okay, guys, be ready. I'm starting the game. Okay, this is the first question. What will be the output of the following code? Print type of int. You got 30 seconds. There is 3 answer, 4 answer. Come on, guys. Time is ticking. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6, 5. Please do make some answer. There is no negative point. Okay. The right answer is type, and we can see that 3 got the right answer. Okay. Moving on to next question. Okay. Anjana is now leading, and Swadi is just behind. So you can beat them, guys. Moving on to the second question. Guys, you have to complete that within 30 seconds. There is no negative point, so don't worry. What is the output of string ABC of 2 colon? What is the output of this? Okay, guys. Please don't watch the video. Listen to use the screen that you are in. 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Wow, guys, 7 of them actually got the right answer, which is good. Okay, 2 questions is over. 8 more questions left. I request all of you to stop watching the video and focus on the quiz because there is a lag in the video. Okay, now we will be moving on to the third question. Still Swadi is leading. Oh, Red Hat app has Swadi is leading and Red Hat is now in the second position. Okay. Third question. What is the output of string 1, which is hello, string 2, which is a comma, string 3, which is world, and The question is, what is the output of string 1 of 1? The last part. That is the question. String 1 in bracket minus 1 colon. What is the output of string 1 in bracket minus 1 colon? We have got only 3 answers. Do it fast, guys. 7, 8 answers. Oh, only one got the right answer. It's okay. Now, moving on to the fourth question. This is the current scoreboard. What arithmetic operators cannot be used with string? This is a simple question. Just what arithmetic operators cannot be used with strings? Seven answers. 9. Come on, guys. Time is ticking. You got 15 answers. Good. 4 of them got right. The answer is minus. We cannot use minus with string. Okay, guys. Moving on to next question. Oh, we can see that Red Hat has overtaken Ashwadi, sorry. One thing to point is that we have said it in the beginning itself not to use nickname. So I really don't know who is this Red Hat. So moving on to next question. What is the output of print /n hello? What is the output of print /n hello? Eight seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up, guys. Wow. Majority of them got the right answer. The output is actually a new line and followed by a hello. Ashwati has overtaken Red Hat. Oh, we are actually seeing a good competition over here. Let's see at question number 6. What is the output of print inside that bag, single quotes, happy, single quotes, Cody? What is the output? Three answers. We are half the way. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 14 answers. Good. The answer is happy coding. Majority of them got the right answer. That is, answer is happy coding. Oh, suddenly Aju has overtaken everyone. Okay, now let's start. 7th question. What is the output of string hello world and string 1 of colon minus 1? String 1 inside square bracket colon minus 1. What is the output? Two answers. Time's up. This will actually give the reverse of the string. That is, hello world will be reversed. That is the answer, and majority got the right answer. Aju is leading. Now coming to the eighth question. Which of these is not a core data type? Which of this is not a core data type? We have already got 3 answers and the time has been like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Wow, guys. Out of 17, actually 12 got the right answer. That is, class is not actually a core data type. We are almost reaching the end. Only 2 more questions left. And Aju is leading. So, are you ready for the ninth question? Be ready, guys. Observe the code. Def example A. A equal to A plus 2. A equal to A star 2 and return. So when you call example hello, what will you get? When you call example of hello, what will you get as return? Yep, 5 of them got the right answer. Aju is leading. So the final question, guys. This is the final question. Get ready. What is the type of the object? That is L. What is the type of the object L? Last question, guys. Yes, it is a list. 12 of them got the right answer. And thus today's quiz ends. And now let's see who is the winner. Yay, the winner is Aju, followed by Ashwati and Anjana. So Aju will have an goodie during the next meetup. We will have a meetup during the mid section. We are actually near the mid. Once the object-oriented class is been over, you will be given some assignments or what you can say, a mini project. So in between that, we will also have a meetup. So during that meetup, Aju will have Aju will be given a goodie. Congrats, Aju, and congrats to all the rest of the participants. Well done, guys. Don't worry if you don't win. We will have a quiz competition every week. So try to attend the next quiz competition, and you will have a chance to win prizes. So that's it for today's quiz. Now let's look at today's content. Let me have a screenshot of this. So that, okay. Now let us have a today's content. Okay. Today we will be looking at functions. What is a function? How to define a function? How to call a function? The arguments, that is star args and star star kw args. We will also look at lambda, map, and filter. So this is content that we will be looking at. So I request all of you open Colab and start coding it. Open your Colab notebook. Keep it in one of your side panels, as we always do. Left side should have the video and right side should have the Colab notebook, and start coding along with me. Okay. So what is a function? A function is actually a part of the code that can actually invoked from another part of a code. In Python, the execution is always from top to bottom. So when you write a equal to 5, b equal to 10, the execution is from top to bottom. What if you have to change the order? You have to call some another part of code and execute that code. That is where the use of function comes in. Function is a part of the code that can be invoked or used from another part of a code. So let us look how we can define a function. Def is a keyword. So you have to start defining a function with def keyword followed by any name, or let's say add to number. This is the name of the function that I am giving, or let's say I am giving display hello. This is the name of the function that I am passing in, followed by two parentheses, a colon, and print hi or hello world. This is how you actually define a function. It starts with the keyword def, followed by the name of the function, a parenthesis, and the body of the function. Here we only have a single line, that is print hello world, as the body of the function. So whenever you call this function, all the statements below this definition will be executed. One thing to note here is that I have used a tab here to show that this print function is actually inside the definition. It is inside the function display hello. So make sure you use tab and properly indent your code. This is how you define a function. Simple as that. So how can we call a function? Let's say I am printing hi. Now I have to print hello world. This is actually inside this function. So what we can do is use the same name and print that here. Okay. Now we get output as print hi followed by a function call. The statement that you are seeing here is actually a function call. It will look for a function called display hello. And we can see that we have already defined a function called display hello. And then if there is two parentheses followed by this function name, then it will go and execute the body of that function. That is why we are having hello world as output. It goes and execute the line inside that function. So this is how function will be executed. We can just remove this so that it is more clear to you. See, this is how you actually call a function. So what if you don't use this parenthesis? It will actually return that function object itself. See, it is actually returning the function object. So in order to call the function, you should use parentheses, opening and closing parentheses. So this is how we define a function and call a function. You can have an empty function by defining like empty function followed by a pass. The pass keyword actually does nothing. It passes. You can't have an empty function like this. It will actually return an error, saying that it actually expects something to be inside that body of this function. So you need to do is use the keyword pass. Now what you have did is actually created an empty function. So when you call this function, you will actually get nothing because it is obviously an empty function. See, you get nothing. You can also return some value. In this case, what if I have to return a value from a function? I will define a function. Function returns. Okay. And inside that function, I have to use keyword called return and any value. You can use any value that you want to return from this function. So when you call this function, you actually get what is returned by this function. You can assign this return value into some variable. Let's say you can assign that to a variable called result. And now when you try to print out result, you can see that this function actually returned true. You can change this true to false. Sorry guys, let's see, false. And see that that function returned false. So what if you just, in this case, like display hello, what if we use that function here? Instead of return a function that returns something, I am just calling display hello. Okay. It actually went and print display hello, but it never returned any value. So when you try to print out result, you will get none. This is because this function has not returned any value. It has only just printed hello world. So that is the use of return function. We can also pass arguments into function. What if we have to pass in some arguments? For that, let us create another function. Sum of numbers, and I pass in x comma y. Okay, I have to return x plus y as return value. So what actually this function says is that this function takes in two input. So you can pass in two input, that is x and y, to this function. So when you call this function, you have to pass two inputs. That is, I have to pass 5 or any two numbers. And you can see that it returns the sum, that is 5 plus 10. This is how you use arguments in a function. This x and y are called as arguments. So what will happen if I don't pass this return? What if I don't use two variables and I just use one variable? Now I will get an error saying that missing one position, that is y. So this function actually expects two values, x and y, and only 5 is passed to x. So it is missing y. So make sure you pass two values, 5 comma 20. What happens is that 5 will be get assigned to x and 20 will be get assigned to y. You can even try printing out the value of x. X is print, y is y. Okay. You can see that the 5 automatically gets assigned to x and 20 automatically get assigned to y. Even if we reverse this thing, now what happens is that 20 will be get assigned to x and 5 will be get assigned to y. This is how variable get assigned in a function. You can also do this. X is equal to y equal to. So you are explicitly saying that x should be 20 and y should be 5. The advantage of using this is that you can, when you do this in reverse, 5 will not be passed to x. 5 will be only passed to y because we are assigning 5 to y. When we try and execute this function, we can see that, see, even if the first argument is y, but inside this the first argument is x. Since we explicitly said that this 5 should be assigned to y, during the function call, this 5 will be assigned to y. So this is how you can use arguments inside a function. So what if you need to pass more than two, like more than two values inside that function? So when we try to do this, before that, I just need to tell one more thing. There is a concept called default argument. You can actually pass in a default value to 5. Let's say 50. 50 is the default value to 5. So when now in this case, even if I type single value, that is 10, I will get output as 60. This is because we have provided a default value. Y is equal to 50. So this 10 will be assigned to x and default value for y will be 50. So when I type in 10 again, let's say I type in 5. Now what actually happens is that if we pass an argument, the default value will not be considered. The 5 will override the default value and y will have a value of 5. So when we try and run this, we can see that now the output is 15. This is because we have actually passed two arguments, and since we have passed in two arguments, the default value will be ineffective. So if we don't pass the second argument, we will have the default value here. One thing to note here is that always assign default values from right to left. Keep in mind that you have to assign default values from right to left. You can't do this. Let's say I am assigning default value for x is equal to 100 and I am not assigning a default value for y. This will return in an error saying that non-default argument follows a default argument. This shows that in Python, if you are defining a default value, you should define that value from right to left. That is from right to left. Now when you pass in this, it should get executed. 10 and 10 and it returns 20. This is the concept of default argument. Now comes the situation where you are not sure of number of arguments to be passed. You don't know how many arguments this function will be accepting during the call. In that case comes the concept of star args and star KWA args. Okay, now let us look at both of this. I am defining a function called sum of numbers. You can use any name, and I am passing in star args. See, I am using a star or asterisk for the variable. and I'm printing the length of arguments. I'm printing type of that variable, and also I'm printing the variable itself. Okay, so this is the function I have defined. The advantage of this is that now you can pass in any arguments as you need, like 10 comma 20 comma 30. So now what it actually done is that all this thing now will be passed into a single variable, that is args. Now 10, 20, 30 will be sent as a tuple, like 10, 20, 30. It will be sent as a tuple to this function. Okay, and this tuple will have a length of 3, obviously, because we have passed in 3 arguments or 3 values. And the type of that variable is, you can see that it is a tuple. And when we try to print out that argument, we will get 10 plus 20 plus 30. So as this function says, I have to return the sum of that numbers. So what I will do is return sum of marks, as simple as that. So now when we try to do this, I will get return value as 60. You can use this star args along with any number. Imagine that you need a function which always need to accept minimum of 2 arguments. So in that case, I can define x comma y here and then use star args. So now what happens here is now that this function needs to 2 values at minimum, or at least 2 values. See, missing 2 fields. So when I pass in 5 comma 10, I get return value 0 because I have not used this args here. Okay, so what I can do, of args plus x plus y. Okay, see, now I get return value as 15. Now this shows that you can use the normal parameter and the star args parameter. The star args advantage is that you can pass in any argument as you need. See? So now what happens is that 5 and 10 will be assigned to x and y, and the rest of the values, that is 60, 50, 40, etc., will be assigned to the variable args, which is of type tuple. So this is the use of args. So we have also seen that we can call a function saying like sum of y equal to, right? We can, oh sorry, I need to run this function first. Okay. So what, yeah, I need to make this 200. So what if I have to explicitly specify the value or the name of the argument this value should be assigned to? Here we can see that this 200 is being assigned to y. This is only because we have specified the name here. So what if you have to do the same in this scenario? You are not aware of the value or the different variables that will be accepted by the function. In that case, you can make use of this star star keyword arguments. KWARG stands for keyword arguments. You can use any name there. This is how most of us commonly use. So I am defining a function. Let's say strings, fetch strings. Okay, here I can actually use star KWR keyboard argument. Same as that. Now let's try to print out what this function actually is. Okay, trying to print out the length of that, type of that, and the value of this variable. Okay, now that's done. So let me call this function. The advantage is that, as I has mentioned, now you can use variables and variables for sending in the value. I can use that name equal to Manu, address equal to, let's say, Trivandrum. Then I can keep on adding any value. Okay. When we try and execute this, even if we have not specified anything, the star what it does is it will accept the name and the value as a dictionary. We can see that now this entire thing is being passed into this function as dictionary. See, as a key value pair, we will get all the values here. Now inside this function, I can use like keyword dot get name. Let me just print that out. Oh, okay. See, now what this function does is it will fetch all this thing and return the value name, value of the name. What if I don't provide the value name here? Okay. Now this will return in an error saying that it actually needs some value to be assigned to. So you can do another. Okay. Now what it actually done is that Manu has been assigned to the key another. So when I am trying to print, I go in and check if the dictionary has a name, a key called name, and I will try to get that value of the key name. So since there is no key called name, it is returning none. So this is the use of star args and star args. Now let me just go back and see if I have what is function, define a function. Okay, now let us look at lambda functions. Lambda function. Okay. What if I have to return get square and I pass in a variable x? I need to return the square of this function. That is like x square. Okay. So when I try to call this with a value 5, I should get 25 as output. Okay. This is a simple function that accepts a number and returns the square of that number. Python has a built-in feature called as lambda, where you can do the exact thing using a lambda function. You don't actually need to define a function. What you can do here is that you can actually do this in a single line. See, what Python provide us is that you can use like lambda followed by x square. Okay, so what it tells is that I'm now assigning this to a variable called as get square lambda lambda eda. Okay, now this is something that I'm using here. So the same function, now I have converted that to a lambda function. You can create a lambda function by using the keyword lambda followed by the argument, that is the argument that is being passed here, that is x, and what is being returned, that is this x square. It actually returns whenever you call this variable, you will get this as return value. Let's try this out. So to execute this, let's see 25. When I pass in 100, I will get 10,000 as return value. This is how we convert a normal function into a lambda function. This is how we convert a normal function into a lambda function. Now, what is the use of lambda function? Suppose, imagine that you have to like create a list which contains squares up to 10 numbers. So what normally we will do is we will first write this function, right? We will create this function, then we will let's say we are using list comprehension. Here we for x for x in range of 10. And now what will happen? Now it will return 0 to c and 0 to 9. I going to start it from 1 to let's say 11. Now I will have 1 to 10. Okay. Now what if I need to get a list of squares up to 10? What I will usually do is use this value function here. This is how we will usually do it, right? See, now I have a square of like 1, 4, 2, 16 up to 10. This can be actually, now there is like, see, you have 3 or more lines of code. We can actually convert this into a single line of code using the lambda function. So all we have to do is now I just copy this. Okay, I'm using this here. I can just, rather than assigning this, I can just use this here. Oh, sorry guys. I need to use this. Here, say x. This is the use of lambda function. Now I have converted that code inside this. Now comes the concept of what was the next remaining thing? Map and filter. Now let us look at map. We'll use the same example here. Now you have a function called get square, and you need to find the square of, let's say I have a list here. Let's say I have a list L. I need to find the square of 5 comma 10 comma 8 comma. Okay. I have to find the squares of all these things. What you can actually do is, rather than calling a for loop, so without map function, this is how actually we will do. For x in L ans dot append get square of x. Now when I type an answer, okay, this is the output that I expected. I need to pass each of this value inside this function and get the result in a separate list. So what Python has provided us is a function called as map. I can use map and pass in the function and the list. Okay. Now this returns a map for x in map. This is actually returning a generator object. So when you type this, you can see that you get 25, 100, 64, 4. So to get the actual value, what you can actually do is convert this into a list. List. See, see, this step can be now avoided, and we can use the same thing in a single line. What map offers is that each element in this list will be passed on to this function, and that value will be appended. Map is actually a generator function. So in order to get the actual list, you have to convert this into a list object. We can see that map is actually a generator function. So each time it will fetch only a single value, that is 25, 100, 64, and 4. So to get that actual list, you have to convert that into a list. Similar is the concept of filter. Filter. Okay. Now I have a function which checks if a number is square. Check square. Then pass in a number and return like x. How can I check percentage? Two. Check. Oh, sorry. It's not check square. Check even. Equal to 0. So if a percentage operator, what it does is that it will find the remainder by dividing it by 2. If a number has, when a number is divided by 2 and when we get a remainder as 2, we can say that remainder as 0, we can say that it is an even number. To check, we can just see and call this function and pass in 10. We can see that 10 is even number, so it returns true. So what if I pass in 11? I will get false because 11 is an odd number, and this is the use of check. So to explain filter, now similar to the above case, now I have a list saying 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I have a list 1, 2, 3, 4 with elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to get only those elements that are even. So normally what we will do is similar. In this case we will write a function, and if x percentage 2 equal to 0, I will append that answer. Okay. See, so what just happened? Sorry, I have to append x. Okay. Now we can see that from this list only 2, 4, 6 are actually even. So this entire statement, the lines of statement can be converted into a single line using filter. Filter, all I have to do is pass in this value here following the list. Similar to map, we will only have a filter generator. Now I have to do a type conversion. See, the entire line of code can now be avoided and converted into a single line of code. This is the use of filter function. What filter actually does is it will pass each element to this function, and if the function returns true, then only then the value of this L will be stored. Only if the function returns true, the value of L will be stored. So this is the use of filter function. Now the advantage of lambda is that you don't actually need to go and define a function like this. You can actually pass this inside here as a lambda function itself. So this entire thing can be now converted into a single line. Lambda x colon, we get the same thing. We actually don't need to go and define everything. The entire, like line 1, line 2, line 3, this all can be now converted into a single line of code. Now this is the use of lambda or map or so and so. So if I type in map here, you can see that map actually takes each element from this list, pass it into lambda function, and that result and that return value or that result is being stored. So this is the L. 1 is checking that it is even, false. 2 is checking for even, true. 3 is checking for even, false. So this is the use of, like that it goes. So, and this is the use of map, reduce, and lambda function. Now let us look at scope. Hold on, guys. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. So now let's go and look at scope. Scope. I am defining a variable x, or let's say I am using x everywhere. Let's say I am defining a variable num equal to 10. Inside this definition, I am using like a outer function. Like I'm defining an outer function, and inside it I'm going to use num equal to 20. Now again define inner function. I'm trying to print num. I'm calling this inner function here, and I'm calling the outer function. And see, here is an example that will illustrate the scope. I have a variable called num, which is assigned to 10. Then I have created a function. And as you know, Python supports nested functioning too. You can actually define a function inside a function. This is an example showing that nested function. The function outer function actually has a function called as inner function nested within it. So when you try to call the outer function, see, it will go and execute all this set of lines. It will assign num to 20, and then it will call inner function. Now, when it calls inner function, it goes and print the value of num. That is why now we are seeing 20 here. Why are we not seeing 10? This is because the presence of a local variable hides the presence of a global variable. Since both of them have a same name, the presence of local variable hides the presence of global variable. Now, what is a local and what is global variable? The variable that is outside everything is a global variable, and variable that is inside a module or within a function, it is called as local variable. We can see that the num10 is actually a global variable, whereas this num20 is actually a local variable. What if I go and type num equal to say 100 here, and when I try to print, now what we are actually seeing here is that here the num is actually again a local part of this inner function. Now this will hide the presence of this variable. That is num equal to 20 will be hidden. So when you try to print num, it will go and fetch the most local thing, that is num equal to 100. That is why we are seeing 100 as an output. What if I go and comment this line? Now we don't have a uh, now see, now we don't have a variable num defined inside this function. So it will go and a level outer and check if there is a variable num. And now it will find a variable num that is assigned to 20. So when we try to run this, you will see 20. What if I again go and remove this? See, now I get 10. This is because when I call the outer function, it went and called the inner function. And when it was trying to print out the value of num, it only could find the value 10. The rest of the values, it was, I just delete the rest of the values. So it was only able to find the global variable. So this is the concept of scope inside Python. Now what is left? Uh, okay. Now I will actually show you. This rule is actually called LEGB rule. LEGB rule in Python. See, when you go and search, this is the order of hierarchy. Open image. See, this is the order of hierarchy. It will try and fetch what is available in the innermost box. So if there is a local variable available, it will go and fetch that local variable. If that local variable is not found, it will go and check if there is a variable inside or enclosed in some function. If that is not available, it will go and check in for the global. If still global is not available, it will go and check for the built-in. This is the order that Python checks for a variable. So that is what we have seen here. This num actually becomes a global. This num becomes that enclosed thing. See, this num is actually now enclosed, and this num becomes the local. This is called LEGB rule in Python. So now, what if you have to actually use the global variable inside this function? Now let us use like I'm assigning a num variable as 100. Okay, I'm defining print display num, and I'm trying to print 100. Oh, sorry. Num. So, like I have mentioned, it will go and check if that number is available local. Since it is not there in local and enclosed, it will go and use the global variable, that is num. What if I have a local variable like num is equal to 10? Now the value of this number, the value of this global variable num is not accessible inside this function. So even if you go and change num equal to, say I'm going and changing num equal to 10, num equal to plus equal to 100. We'll say 20. Okay. See, I will get num as 30. Inside this function, I have changed the num as 30. For more simplicity, I can just use num equal to 30. This will be simple for you to understand. Okay. Now, when I try to print out num, I actually get the 100 back, which means that the change in the local variable actually did not affect the global variable. So the changes in the nested thing or the innermost variable will not affect the outermost variable. That is what we are seeing here. Here we have actually changed only the local number as 30, and this global number is still 100. So when we are outside this function and trying to print out num, we will get num as 100. So what if I have to actually go in and change this global variable? I can use a keyword called global, global, and followed by what variable that you are trying to access. Okay, now what happens is that the num that you get here is actually the global variable itself. So when you change the num as 30, this global variable which is assigned as 100 will also change as 30. So when you try to print num, see, now it has actually changed to 30. So in order to access a global variable inside a function, you can use the keyword global followed by the variable that is being defined. So that is it, guys. That's it for today. We have covered everything starting from functions, lambda, filter, map, etc. Uh, before I said in for list comprehension, I can actually use lambda. I claim lambda. I need to print square of x. Square for x in range of, let's say, 1 to 11. It should have actually given me square. So why did I get this as an output? This is because we are already defining the lambda function here. We actually need to call this lambda function. Uh, okay. See, now we can call this lambda function inside that list comprehension. This is how you actually use list comprehension along with lambda. So that's it for today, guys. You can start asking any question. I will. Can you explain filter once more? Sure. Where is filter? So what filter actually does is that given a function, it will pass each value to that function, and that value will be only passed out of that function if the return value is true. Say I'm okay. I have a list here. Let's copy paste this, and I want to create a code cell here. I'm using this check even. Okay. And I'm using filter. Okay. So what happens here is that this entire list, I need to filter out the elements in this list. So in order to do that, what this filter does is that it will accept a function and pass each element into that function. Only if the function returns true, the value passed inside that function will be maintained or kept in the memory. To be once more clear, what this filter does is that it will pass each value, that is 1, 2, 3, etc., into the function called as check even. Okay. One thing that you should keep in mind is that don't use parentheses here. You actually need to pass in the function itself. So when you pass in the function, it will pass 1 into that function, and it will only maintain that value which is being passed if that function returns true. So if I need a uh, like odd value, you can actually use lambda here. Lambda x colon x percentage 2 equal to 0. Now actually what it does is that it will only maintain the elements in this list which actually returns true for this function. To be more clear, I will just copy paste this, add a code cell above, and with you a map function. See, this is what actually this function returns: false, true, false, true, false, true, false. This is what this lambda function actually returns, or this check function actually returns. So the elements that actually has a true in that index position will be only maintained. That is the use of filter. So we can see that false, so this one will be neglected. The second is true, so the second, that is 2, will be kept. The third is false, and the fourth is true. Now only fourth, this will be maintained. That is why we are seeing a fun output like this. You can actually change and see if you have to get odd numbers. Now you get odd numbers. That is a use of function. That is the difference between map and filter. Map actually returns all the value that is being passed into that function. Filter only returns the elements that return true for the function. That is the difference between map and filter. So any more? Because hope I have cleared that doubt. If you are still having, is it unclear? Are you still having any doubts? Advait, Srinivas, is it clear? There is actually another function called reduce also. To understand reduce, let me uh, see here. Okay, that is inside functor. Okay, we will look at reduce in the later on class. So is there something? What is the difference between lambda and function? That is who? Srinivas. Okay, what is the difference between a lambda and function? Okay, both lambda and function are actually same. We use lambda just to simply avoid writing a step for defining a function and all. Okay, we can lambda is mostly used in case we have to like do something in a single line, rather than going and defining a function, doing all this operation. That is where the picture of lambda comes in. Both are actually similar and doing the same purpose. Okay, the thing is that lambda actually doesn't need a name. It is anonymous, you can say that. See what you have, what we just did here, they said we just actually created a function but without a name. But if you have to create using def, you can you must have to provide some name. So in order to create something similar to a function without a name, that is where the lambda comes in and out. Even though we can assign a name to lambda, that is see now this lambda x colon x square is actually a function that returns the square if given a value. That is actually returns a square if given a value. We don't actually need to give a name for this function. You can add do that by assigning a name and using it here, then the whole point of lambda is lost. So that is the main difference between lambda and function, I guess. Lambda is actually anonymous function, so you can say that. So functions can be called again, but we need to define lambda each time. Okay. Uh, yeah, that is right. This is actually not defining, which is actually a inline statement, right? It is not actually defining something anywhere. So each time, the whole point of using lambda is to reduce the number of lines of code, right? So and one more thing that you have to see is that lambda only works for simple functions. So if your function is more complex, has some like 10 plus or so and so number of lines, you can't make use of lambda. Lambda is only possible for simple function that is returning a line. That lambda function is actually just used for a function that can be actually within like 5 lines or so. That is where the picture of lambda comes in. Yeah. So is that clear, Grishma? You are actually not defining lambda to any variable or any name. That is the whole advantage of lambda. Okay, Srinivas, what is okay? Okay, can we return values in lambda? X is equal to 10, y equal to 20, y equal to 12. Is it possible? I didn't get that actually. Uh, are you asking can we return something? Actually, this lambda that you are seeing here is actually returning something. See, this x square is actually returning. So to be more clear, let's say and go and define square of number and I pass in x. See, return x square. See, this return x square is what actually being used inside this lambda. See, this x square that is actually being returned. So you can actually return a value. I didn't get the point. Are you asking like x is equal to 20, y equal to 20, return x plus y? That is possible if you pass in x comma y, and you have to return x plus y, right? X plus y. See, this is what I hope this is what you have asked, Srinivas. So in this case, for lambda, we need to pass two things, that is x and y. So rather than just using x here, we need to pass x comma y and then use x plus y. So this is this both this lambda function and this is a. So you can actually see when you take in take in the whole thing and pass in a value, let's say 10 comma 20. 10 will be assigned to x and 20 will be assigned to y, and this lambda function will return x plus y. So is this what you were asking? Can we assign variable to function? Can we assign variables to function? Can we assign variables to? Are you asking can we assign function to a variable? Let's say now to explain that, now this is actually a lambda function. Okay? When you try, you can see that it is actually a function itself. See, a function which is of type lambda. You can actually assign this to a variable. Let's say I have created uh, my function. Okay, and assigning this. So assigning a function to a variable is possible. You can actually define a function called square of number. I can assign that to any other variable. Let's say I am creating my second function and assigning the same function. So when you go ahead and call this with 5 comma 10, is actually referring to the same function itself. See, so you can actually assign a function to variable. If that's what you meant, can we assign variables to function? Variables to function. That is, are you asking about the arguments that is being passed or the variables that can be used inside function? Srinivas, uh, we are actually reaching the end of today's class. It's almost 10:30. So Srinivas, if you can reply fast, was that what you meant? Oh, I'm asking adding two numbers. Oh, adding two numbers can be actually achieved to this through lambda. So this is what adding two numbers is. Arcs treat it like a list. Grishma, arcs actually treat it like a tuple, not list. And keyword arc treats it as a yeah, keyword arcs, star keyword arcs treats it as a dictionary. Can we do the operation we can do with list and dict outside function? Yeah, you can obviously do that. Inside the function, the tuple that is star arcs and star keyword arcs, that is uh, dictionary. That is same as any other variable of type tuple and dictionary. It is same itself. So all the operation that was available outside is available inside that function too. It is just a variable of that type. So you can do it all sort of function. So was I clear to you, Grishma? Okay. Then how can I call suppose a name outside of that function? Okay. I'm winding up today's question with this answering this question. I hope you what you meant is that you have a let's say you have a function which takes in a keyword arguments. Okay. Oh, so I have to define any. Let it be any. Okay. And I try to print keyword arguments and type of. Okay. So when I try to call this with a equal to 10, b equal to 100, this entire thing is received inside this function as a dictionary. So what you are asking is, can I use this dictionary outside of this function? For that, you need to actually define some, like, my any variable, my variable here. Okay, let it be a dictionary, and use that thing as a global thing. Global my variable. Now you have to assign my variable as keyword args. And now you can see that you can access this outside of this class. Actually, this is not, we will not use this anywhere, because anyways we will be having this value outside. See, outside of this function. So you can actually pass in here a dictionary itself. Let's say a colon b comma a colon 5 and b colon 100. Okay. What I can do is, see, when I try to run this, oh, sorry, I need to pass it as star star. Okay. So both are same. This is actually unpacking whatever is having in this dictionary and passing it to this function. So hope I have cleared your doubt. It's 10:40, so I'm winding up today's class. If there is still any doubts, please use the WhatsApp group or Discord channel. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming, and all the best, guys. See you on the next class. Bye. Good night.